So by now, you probably already know about the new coronavirus that has ravaged the globe, infecting tens of thousands of people and killing several thousand. But as I look around me here in the United States, it still seems to me that the overall sentiment is it's a foreign issue. People are relaxed about it. And if anything, the only thing they're concerned about is whether or not their travel plans will get canceled. Maybe it's time to change that. It's time to start taking the coronavirus seriously. And there's several reasons for this. It's probably more contagious than you think. It's more dangerous than you think. The incubation period is hella long. And what all of this means is that this is a situation that must be treated with proactive action as opposed to reacting to an outbreak after it's already happened and it's too late to mitigate the consequences of inaction. I didn't really want to make this video, but there were just too many people around me that didn't seem to get how serious this situation could become. And there were too many people, also people in the media, that have been downplaying this situation, and I just didn't feel like it was right. So I wanted to raise awareness for this issue so at least people would know about it and go out and make their own judgments, do their own research. About a week and a half ago, on February 21st, I had a long day of work, and after work, I went to hang out with a friend. She was Chinese as well, and we were talking about the situation in China with the coronavirus, and we were thinking, actually it's looking like it's getting better. China seems to be having things under control. Even though the new cases were still coming, they were coming at a lower rate day by day. And so we were feeling pretty good about ourselves until I went home to this news. I opened up my computer and saw that there were a cluster of new cases in Italy. And the scary part was they could not trace it back to China. And then a few days later, the cases in South Korea jumped to several hundreds from under 100 just a few days ago. Most of them concentrated in the Daegu region, as you may already know. And then Iran started reporting more cases. And as the days went by, it just became clear to me that the virus was accelerating at a faster and faster rate outside of China, and this was going to be a global issue. A week after that, the next Wednesday, we got the report that there was a case in the United States that was untraceable to China. And then a second one came, and then a third. Today is March 1st, and now there's 5 cases in the United States that cannot be traced to China. What this means is that the virus has already become localized to the local regions. Today, Italy has, I think, 1,500 cases. South Korea, 3,700. Iran, 1,000, and probably more than that because there's suspicious numbers that they're throwing around. But the scary part is we don't know where the virus is coming from, and we don't know where it's going. It could be anybody. It's not just people coming from China anymore. Anybody within the community that's affected could be carrying the virus. And the thing that aggravated me and what prompted me partially to do this video was that 2 days ago, or maybe a day ago, the CDC and the Surgeon General of the United States, the people who are supposed to be protecting our health, made a statement about face masks. They said that they were ineffective for the general public. Let me just read this tweet. Seriously, people, all caps, stop buying masks. They are not effective in preventing general public from catching coronavirus, but if healthcare providers can't get them to care for sick patients, it puts them and our communities at risk. Wow. So wait a minute. If people need to stop buying them because it's not effective for the general public, then why do the healthcare workers need them to care for the sick coronavirus patients? And also for the past few weeks, this directly contradicts what all the Chinese scientists and doctors have been saying, that this is an airborne virus and it transmits from respiratory system to respiratory system. Anyone sick who is coughing, sneezing, or even so much as talking can be transmitting this virus through the air, and if you're within 1 to 2 meters, you have a chance of contracting the virus, even if you don't touch them at all. Why did China force people to wear masks? South Korea is forcing people, maybe not forcing, but they are encouraging people to wear masks. Why would they do that? Just to scare people? It makes no sense at all. So that brings me to the first point, is that this virus is contagious. Because I've had several people talk to me recently, they're talking about, face masks, they don't work. They're more effective at keeping sick people, keeping their own germs in, and it's only if you touch people, it's not an airborne virus. Someone actually said it to me, it's not an airborne virus. Well, this is all misinformation that should not be spread around, and especially not by anyone that is in our government. That is ridiculous. So, how is this virus transmitted? The virus is transmitted through the air, as I mentioned. It can also be transmitted through touch, of course. So yes, you can still get it by touching someone who is sick. It can be transmitted through feces, and then through the air as particles. And finally, there was even a doctor in China who got sick because he wasn't wearing goggles. It got transmitted through his eyes. He was wearing a full bodysuit, as were his colleagues, with a mask on his face, and he wasn't wearing goggles, whereas his colleagues did, and he got the virus. So what all this points to is a virus that is highly, highly contagious and very transmissible. How else would one person transmit it to 700 people on a cruise ship? Think about that. Or just the fact that the number of cases in, let's say Italy, for example, went from 3 on the 21st to 1,500 today on March 1st. That's not a virus that's just laying dormant and sticking to one host. That's a virus that is propagating wherever it can go. The second thing I want to talk about is in regards to how dangerous this virus is. Because the other day someone said, oh, it'll be just like a bad cold season or whatever. And I cannot believe that somebody was actually still saying that. Because this virus has already proven to be 20 times as deadly as the flu. The mortality rate's hovering somewhere around 2%. It's changing with all the new data that's coming in. But so it could go up or down, but that's the rate that we're seeing right now with what we have. And if you're within the demographic that is more heavily impacted by the virus, aka older male, then the rate goes up to past 5%, I think was the number. And it's even worse if you have underlying health conditions. So don't take this virus and think of it as a common cold or just something that's going to pass by. The third thing I want to talk about is the incubation period. A lot of people seem to already know that the incubation period is around 2 weeks, and in some extreme cases up to 27 days, which is almost a month. Yikes. But for some reason, it's not registering or something in people's heads. Because, okay, consider this. If the incubation period is 14 days, let's just set it at that. Then, the new cases that we have in the United States, in California and Washington, that we got just a few days ago, they contracted the virus 14 days before that, which means they were spreading it for 14 days. Think about that. What this means is, by the time you have one confirmed case of coronavirus, that person has probably already spread it to, let's just say, 10 people, okay? And those 10 people are currently spreading it to another 100 people. So you're not going to feel the effects of the spread until much later. And this is exactly why I feel like we as a society should be proactive in preparing and also preventing the spread of the virus as opposed to waiting until it becomes a full-blown pandemic. Which, speaking of pandemic, the WHO has still been really reluctant to use that word. And that, what's his name, Tedros or whatever his name is, it seems like they're wanting to wait until we have the 1,000 cases or whatever arbitrary number. But like I said, by the time you have 1,000 cases, you probably already have 10,000. And you just don't know it yet. I saw another thing that was in the news just a few days ago that to me was just utter stupidity. It was a school district, and they were talking about how they would respond if they had a coronavirus outbreak in their school district. And basically what they said was, when we have 3 students who have symptoms of coronavirus, we will shut down the school and disinfect everything. So basically, by the time they have 3 students, if they all test positive for coronavirus, they've been walking around the school infected for probably 2 weeks. And that's plenty of time to spread it to, say, 300 other students. So do you see the problem with being reactive in this situation? You can't be reactive because by the time you react, you're reacting to news that happened 2 weeks ago. This is why I think here in the United States, right now is the time to take action. While we still have a low count, if we still have a low count because the testings have been shoddy at best, But this is the time to take action to prevent further outbreaks. You can't wait until the outbreaks are already happening because by then it'll be too late. And I don't mean to make this video to scare anyone or cause panic. It's just I feel like people are not understanding the potential of this virus to harm the society we live in. And of course, full disclaimer, I am just an ordinary citizen like you are. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I have access to the internet just as you do. I only take what I know and what I read and make conclusions from it. And I use common sense. So take my opinion for what it's worth. If I said anything wrong, feel free to leave corrections in the comments, links to references if that's appropriate. And, this is not something I usually do on this channel. I usually teach Chinese, but I felt like this was an important topic to cover because this is a topic that could potentially change the society we live in and our immediate future for the rest of this year. So, to close off, please be diligent, follow the news, and don't take it all from one source. Read as many sources as you can to get the full picture as much as you can. Keep yourself healthy, be good to each other, and help your fellow neighbors. I'll see you guys next time.